I am Mary Laura Philpott. I am a writer. I write essays and also books. I wrote this one. It's called Bomb Shelter that comes out this spring, and we are in my kitchen. I feel I am sort of two minds. I'm a really good compartmentalizer. I have this little firewall down the middle of my brain, and half my brain is like, nothing is happening, it's a normal spring, we're just going to be here in the kitchen all the time, everything is cool. And then the other half understands that this is happening. I am like, yes, this is happening, I'm going on book tour, I've got to figure out where all my clothes are, I need to find my suitcase, it's going to be intense, but it's going to be great. So Bomb Shelter, the book, gets its title from Bomb Shelter, the essay, which comes about midway through. I say the essay, but I kind of mean the chapter, like the essay chapter. This is more of a memoir than an essay collection. Anyway, there's a chapter called Bomb Shelter that sort of takes this metaphorical concept of, oh, if only there were safety from all the threats in the world, and makes it literal. And it's the story about the time that I found out just a few years ago that my dad, when I was a toddler, worked in one of the secret government shelters. I know, which is just insane. Like, the ones that people talk about, like they've just been declassified. The bunkers where if the bomb dropped, like the big bad bomb, they would take the president and the 12 important people, I don't know who they are, in there and save them while the rest of humanity died. It turned out that my dad, when I was a baby, was one of the doctors meant to keep everyone alive in those bunkers, which is just nuts. And that story, it was amazing to me because it was just, first of all, amazing to find out at age 40-something, something I didn't know about my dad that was happening while I was alive. But also it kind of put into perspective for me a lot of the stuff I was thinking about in this book. Like when you are a parent, or really not even just a parent, when you are a human who loves other humans and you want to keep everyone you love safe, there's this kind of baseline knowledge, whether you acknowledge it or not, that's impossible. And we all create these pretend ways that we pretend it is possible, but it's not really. I mean, we are all little delicate water balloons and we're all going to pop at some point. But, that bomb shelter was a way of pretending you could keep people safe. Parents are always pretending they can keep their children safe with all these bizarre things we set up. And we do that with just people we love, our friends and our spouses and our, neighbors. We're like, this will keep us safe. There is no safe. So that's how I got the name Bomb Shelter. It didn't occur to me to ask my parents whether they were keeping other secrets from me, but now like, maybe I should, No, I'm so trusting. I was like, wow, that was new information. Okay. I didn't stop to go, wait, what else could there be? But now I'm like, my dad did have this Camp David mug in his basement, and I never thought to question it until he told me this whole secret military history, and now I'm thinking like, this is why we're shooting at my kitchen table. This was never meant to be my office. This was not meant to be where I did all my work, but when the pandemic hit and I had teenagers and husband, like we were all in one house, all four of us, and this was the one room nobody was in because nobody wanted to do the dishes or have the responsibility of making lunch. So I made this my office. I think I thought it would take me longer, and I probably got it done faster because I was here every single day with nowhere else to go, with nothing else to do. But yeah, no, I wrote Bomb Shelter while in this little metaphorical pandemic bomb shelter, I guess. I was so mad because at first, and this is a terrible, stupid, frivolous reason to be mad at a pandemic. All the real reasons are because it's killing people. But I was also mad because I was like, this is a memoir. It's about real life. I'm going to have to put this damn pandemic into this story, aren't I? So it does. Toward the end of the book, it comes in. It's not a pandemic book. It's not all about that, but it makes an appearance. Cameo by the pandemic. So I have back issues, as many middle-aged women do. I have a couple of herniated discs and other things. I also have broken my tailbone more than once, and so I can't sit for a long period of time. No one should. It's not good for you. But while I was writing this book, which obviously required like long periods of being in front of a computer, I was having trouble because I couldn't find a place where I could sit all day and not be in pain at the end of the day. And my husband at his office has a standing desk, like this really cool thing. It's on an arm, and he can like raise and lower it. And he was like, you should get a standing desk. And so I looked up standing desks, and they cost money, and I wasn't going to do that. So I created my own standing desk out of boxes. Garbage, actually. I took boxes like shoe boxes, and if you have any Apple products, save the boxes. They're very sturdy. Anyway, I created a standing desk on my kitchen counter out of boxes that it's perfect. My laptop can sit on the top right at my eye level, and then I have a wireless keyboard that's on the counter, and I can work. I can bounce back and forth on my feet. I can move around. I can sit on a bar stool for a little while if I want to. And then at the end of the day, I just take all my boxes and I put them in a closet, and I put my keyboard away, and then my standing desk is gone. And it's made of trash, and I love it. I do have my family's blessing in writing this story, because there's a lot of places in this story, which is a story about me, this me character, going through a particularly hard time. But there are a lot of places in that story where my experience overlaps with somebody else's. And generally my rule is, if there's a scene where my story overlaps with someone else's, I leave it out. I don't tell it. But there was no way to tell this story without some of those overlapping scenes. And the people in those scenes with me were my family members, particularly the ones in this house, my children, my husband. And whenever there is something that overlaps with one of them, I will show them what I've written first and say, how cool are you with this? Is there anything you would suggest I change? Would you rather I not write about this? They are actually much more forthcoming than I am on their behalfs. I protect their privacy more than they expect me to. I mean, I don't use my children's names in any of my writing, and they've both said, you can use our names if you want, but no, I'm not using their names. But it was my husband, John, who early on in the events that are depicted in this book looked at me one night and said, I hope you're writing this down, because this is something this is going to help people. This is Frank, the turtle, on the cover of the book. He is not my pet. Also, I should say, he's not named Frank in his own life. His mama did not name him Frank. We call him Frank because we feel like we have to call him something. I don't know what his real name, his turtle name is. But he is wild. He lives in our yard. He lives out there. And as far as I know, he has always lived here, is probably older than me, because they can live to be very, very old. He lives in my yard. He went through a phase where he was knocking on our front door a lot, which was really disruptive because he was doing it at like 4 a.m. But I ended up writing a piece about that for the New York Times, 2 pieces about him for the New York Times, actually, both of which are in this book, but greatly expanded. Anyway, he's like part of our family. We love him, even though he's not our pet. And he got to be on the cover because I feel like his little body just sort of symbolizes this whole idea of safety, and he's got a shelter on him. He has something humans don't have. We don't have a built-in hard body helmet. We have to come up with our own safety, which is why we come up with all these crazy things that don't really work. That's Frank. Book covers. Once you sell a manuscript to your publisher, they own it, they take it from there, they create everything about it. The writer, I think in polite publishing world, they will show the writer the cover they've come up with and say, we're doing this, okay? And the writer either goes, okay, or, oh, but could it be blue? And that's it. I actually went to my publisher and said, I have a dream of a cover. It is this color that is not quite red and not quite pink and not quite coral, and the letters are yellow. And the font is, I was so bossy, probably rude, but I was nice about it. Anyway, I was like, this is all I want in a cover, and I want this one central focal object. And the object is a turtle, and it's not just any turtle, it's Frank. And they all knew who Frank was because they read the book. And they were so kind. They said, we're going to come up with a few concepts, but we will include that in our concepts, in the ones we come up with. Go ahead and send us your photos of Frank so that we can use them. And I was like, no problem, I have 500. And so I started sending the photos from my phone where I had taken them. Phone photos, like blurry backyard phone photos. I was like, can you use these? And no, they can't, no. The art director was like, these are so pretty. No, we cannot use them. We're going to need real, high-res actual photography of the turtle. And at the time all these conversations were happening, it was early spring, And turtles hibernate or brumate. They kind of go like under the leaves in the winter. They go where you can't find them. And he's wild, so like we don't know where he goes in the winter. And so I didn't have a photo, and I couldn't just be like, hey Frank, I can take your picture. Anyway, so there was this one very tense week where we had this cover design, but with a model turtle. And she was beautiful, absolutely no offense. It would have been lovely. No one would have known or cared, but I would have. But there was nothing we could do. So we got to the end of that week, and my editor said, I'm going to give you the weekend. You need to sit with this, and you need to come back on Monday and say you're okay with it, because we got to move on with the cover. And I was like, okay, it's fine. So I went out that weekend. By this point, it was like early May. I went out into my backyard. I was doing some gardening. I had on my gardening gloves, my overalls, and I was out there just kind of narrating myself as I do. And I was saying, oh, Frank, I wish you were here. I wanted to put you on the cover of the book. And I kid you not, he walks out from the bushes. And there, if you go to my website, there's a picture that my daughter took with her phone of me lying on my stomach, because when I saw him, I was like, oh, Frank! And I dropped my, shovel or whatever I had, and I took off one gardening glove, but not the other for some reason, and I ran in the house, and I grabbed my good camera, and I came out, and I lay down on the ground, and I took like 300. I took photos of him from every angle, because I did not want the art director to be like, no, none of these are good. So I was like, this way, give me angry, give me sultry. We did the whole photo shoot, and now there he is. So here's how we ended up with turtles. So during the pandemic, which is still ongoing, but during the height of the pandemic, when I was...
Season 1.
Right, season 1 of the pandemic, when I was very stressed out about just the world, one of the things I did to soothe myself was watch a show on TV called The Great Pottery Throwdown, which is exactly like The Great British Bake Off, produced by the same people and everything, but with like plates instead of cakes. Same setup, same feel-good British people helping each other, not even really competing. It's the best show. But what makes it even more awesome and meditative than the bake-off is that the B-roll they use, like when someone's just talking, is the pottery wheel going around. And so it has this almost like trance-like effect to watch. So I watched every episode that I could get of The Great Pottery Throwdown, and then I ran out, and I didn't have any more, and I was like, where can I get more pottery content? And I decided I would have to make it myself. So I signed up for a pottery class, and in theory, I was supposed to be learning many, many things about ceramics. In reality, I came in, and by like day 2, I had figured out the wheel made me dizzy. I really just wanted to roll little meatballs and make tiny turtles. And, obviously turtles have been on my mind. At the time, I was also thinking I needed holiday gifts for my publishing team. And I couldn't do what I normally do, which is like send a huge basket of chocolate to the office, because they weren't in the office. They were all scattered. So I had to send some little thing to every person. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to make turtles just like Frank on the book, and everyone will have their own. And it was so fun and meditative, and this wonderful mental break from everything else in the world. I don't have all that many, because although they look very simple, it takes me a very long time to make one. I put a lot of work into the glazing, and I love them so much, and they make me so happy. So I gave a whole batch as holiday presents to my publishing team, the Bomb Squad, as we call them. And then I made a new batch after the holidays, and these I have been giving away in drawings to people who donate to good causes. Like we did one drawing where everyone donated to UNICEF, which is providing on-the-ground support to people in Ukraine. I just did one where people have donated to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, which is a very important place to me. That's where all these little buddies are going to people who donated there. So they're all just living this happy little purpose. They're helping people, and they help me, and it's the most fun.
Oh, scuba puppy. Okay, now we're gonna go. We're gonna talk to the nice people. Okay.
Oh, this is Eleanor Roosevelt. She's a beagle. She's a lot of energy. Can you tell? Watch. Ooh, watch. Woo! There she goes. Eleanor Roosevelt and Woodstock are the dogs. Woodstock is very nervous all the time. I understand him a lot. Yes, we have anxiety, but we're very loving individuals, aren't we? And Eleanor Roosevelt does whatever she wants. That's her life. And Frank the turtle and his other turtle friends live out here, and we know he's out and about when we hear leaves shuffling. He walks out on this porch a lot. Yeah, and you love Frank, don't you? You are very respectful of Frank. They were real sad when everybody went back to school and work and it was just me again, especially Woodstock. He was like, "Oh, Dad." Hey, guys. Hey, look at you.
That's a wrap.
You're being so helpful.
Woodstock, good job. Good job.
You did it.